me and Uncle Mike. If you look back, that's the chicken coop, sat on that cement slab. Obviously, the propane tank was not there. The truck that's there was Doodle Doodle, which was my dad's truck. That's the sound it made, so that's why I called it that. And you could see that far hill. You could see all the way out there to that gravelly far hill. And mostly it would be squash or pumpkins or something. There was one year where the ground froze early and it rained afterwards, and that whole area, because it was low, because it had hills all around it, it became like a small lake, and it would freeze. And we would go out with our sleds, and Uncle Mike would pull me on my sled to be laying on it. I could look down, I could see all the plants underneath, Here, this would be my mother. And this would be in front of there. See the pine tree there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's that pine tree.
Oh my goodness.
This pine tree here is that pine, one of those two pine trees there.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's got to be this one. See, and this poor maple tree here has all these different trunks on it because one day we used to get coal delivered because we burned wood in the furnace, forced air furnace, and we also used coal to heat, and the coal truck came in and backed over it and really damaged it. But my dad left it, and so that's why you've got this crazy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trunks there.
It's like almost like a hand.
Yeah. And then this was his grandpa, Patrick McPharlin, who was the one who built this house. And he was in the Civil War. He and his cousin, Michael McPharlin, were out working the fields, as the story goes, and they heard a band, and they knew that there were troops that were marching down to Kalamazoo to enlist. And they basically just dropped their stuff in the field and headed out and enlisted. They were 16 and went off to fight in the war, because he was, I'm trying to think when he was born, 1844. So, yeah, he took off. Okay, this was taken from what used to be the road. That's what the house used to look like. That's this house.
From this angle?
From back here, because you can see the road, kind of. So, yeah. Because there's the windmill that stood over the well. But Grandpa completely redid it. It was a wing and an upright.
It's completely different.
It's completely different, yeah. But on the back, it's McPharlin family, Patrick and Catherine McPharlin, and then, some little ones there too, but...
So this would have been on the other side of the road here, right? This is the road right here?
Well, yeah, it had to be, because there's the mailbox.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this would have been taken across the road. But the road is barely a road. It's just some dirt.
It's like a 2-track.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, basically. So, yeah, this was what it looked like before Grandpa remodeled it.
What year would that have been right there? Do you know? Late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah,
Probably.
late 1800s, I would say. During the 40s, during the war, Uncle Albert and my dad went in together to buy this. And from my dad's Army journals, I know that he did not want to do this. He did not want to buy this. He wanted to buy his own property and build his own house.
Really? Okay.
He did not want to do this. His mommy made him. But, it was his mother, and that's what she wanted, was for him to be here. And so partway through, he was over on Ascension Island, and Uncle Albert came to Grandpa. I think maybe Aunt Lizzie was either really sick or had died. So Uncle Albert went to my grandpa and said, I'm not interested in this house anymore, this property. I don't want to buy it anymore. So I'm not paying you any more for it. And so after that, then my grandma wrote to my dad and told him that she got his Army pay was sent to her. And so she told him that she would take out of his Army pay twice what he was paying to cover the cost. So he had to pay, and I don't know what the dollar amounts are, what was agreed upon or anything. But she took that money out of his paycheck and paid for it. And he did not own this house until 1952 is when he finally paid it off. He was sick. He ended up, he had a hernia. And he had to tell the Army doctors where it was located because they couldn't find it. So they did surgery, and whatever they did, botched it. He became deathly ill. I mean, I've got pictures back home of him. He's just a skeleton. And so they had to transfer him to an Army hospital off the coast of Brazil. So he was over there for a good long while. And I'm not sure exactly when he was finally discharged, but it was that surgery that damaged the veins to his legs, that he then had to have his legs bandaged with ace bandages every morning. He'd get up and he'd have to wrap them every morning for the rest of his life. This is my mom holding Mike, who was less than 2, I'm guessing, and that's Ginny Hoogterp. Her husband, Joe Hoogterp, was my dad's best friend from the Army, and that's she's holding her son Steve there. He was a little younger than Mike. But yeah, you can see.
And that's when the porch, before it had windows?
Yeah, it was all open.
Wow.
But that was Ginny. And then, next picture. That little boy there, killed in Vietnam.
Oh.
First person, really about the only person I knew, but it was such a shock. But they used to come down, they had 8 kids all together, and they would come down to visit, and Steve was actually going to Aquinas the same time I started, and so he came and picked me up, and we went out to he took me out to lunch. I think I was a freshman at that time. He took me out to lunch. Last time I saw him,
Wow.
he'd been drafted.
Oh,
Off he went. Okay. Obviously did not like this. Oh, there, I had to go further. Oh, we'll need the bags. I'm gonna do that later. This is where we had our kitchen table. This is where the fridge was. So I was sat like right here, and behind me in the picture, you see there's the wood stove, and there was the little gas stove we had, and there's the door that went out to the went out and down steps into what was the woodshed. Right, my high chair was right here, and the china cabinet that Jordan now has was over there, and up on that wall was the fish picture that's now out at the cottage. Yeah, and see that it looks like I would have been 2. You think?
Looks like it.
And that's Jessie. That would have been her. So she would have come over for my birthday. And then here, that's me and Mike sitting at the foot of the stairs.
Yeah.
So just side by side. So yeah, I must have been around 2, I'm guessing, something like that. This is where the Christmas tree stood. And that would have been me and Mike, and I've got another one of those looks on my face.
And that would have been one that you probably cut from
On the property.
on the property.
Yeah. But if you look at it, it's not a very good Christmas tree.
It doesn't.
Pretty bad.
Doesn't look like. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's free.
Well, yeah. And here's another one. It was probably 8 or 9, so it would have been more in front of the window. Still another really bad tree. Now, jump ahead several years, and here I am. I'm probably in high school or college. Note the tree. Pretty good, yeah. Nice tree. So when I started helping pick them out. But you can see here, this would have been poured, so this would have been something that Grandpa did. And that's the original. So that's why the house looks so different on the outside, so.
Because this would have been right here. This
That
would have been in
the
that picture.
upright.
That would have been the upright.
That would have been the upright.
And then everything else would have been the.
Yeah,
So the foundation here is
this is the original,
foundation.
and Michigan basement thing. And this here you can see hand-hewn beams up there.
And who would have hand hewn those?
Whoever built it, and it could have been my great-grandpa Patrick, or he could have had somebody do it for him. I don't really know.
But this would have been 1880s.
Yeah, early 1880s.
Early 1880s. But that beam is. I would imagine that's original Michigan timber, original forest.
Right, yep. So that beam is probably 140 years old.
The beam is, the tree's older.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it had to be a full-grown adult tree.
So, this tree was probably around when before America was America.
Could have been. At least, yeah. This tree probably was growing when we had the War of Independence. To be that big, to be able to get a piece out that big, that long, to have it all hand hewn and smoothed off. Yeah, it would.
And then this foundation was just fieldstone, right?
Fieldstone.
That was just picked off the property.
Right, yep. Yep.
And then
This is Uncle Mike's.
Uncle Mike's room, right?
Yep. That was the old gun cabinet. And they had a German Mauser or some kind of German gun in there, and the Civil War sword from great Grandpa Patrick. When Aunt Millie was gone for the weekend, she would get us up and we'd hear her. But on Sunday mornings, if she was gone, and our dad came up the stairs, he would wake us up by getting us out of bed, dragging us to the railing, and dangling us over. We learned to get out of bed real fast. Real fast.
So this room was
Aunt Lily's.
Lily's room?
Yep. This is where she stayed. This is my bedroom. My bed could come out from this way, but I remember one year I had it up here against the wall, and the window was open, and I could hear the wrens singing, like for the first time that spring. And that black cherry tree was there, and it was just loaded with blossoms. I could hear the bees buzzing and humming, and I hear the wrens singing. That's a real distinct memory for me in this room.